Hey guys, so today we're in the kitchen garden and I want to show you guys a little bit about what's going on in the kitchen garden. It is fertilizing day. It's nice and cloudy today, not as hot as usual. We are expecting temperatures in the hundreds later this week, so I want to get this fertilizing done fairly early because the slow release fertilizer actually works better when it's humid out. It breaks down and it starts to feed into the soil. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do this right now. I have a few days to go before I actually have to fertilize, but I'm doing this about every 3 weeks. Putting a slow release, you can do it once a month, but because of the humidity here, it does break down faster. And we water quite often, so it's gonna break down a little bit faster, especially in these raised beds. It's gonna seep through. So we wanna go ahead and fertilize right now, so when that humidity does come down, it breaks down nice and easy. So as you can see, these cucumbers are growing quite nicely. Now these bush cucumbers are almost overtaking this trellis, and I'm okay with that because part of the plan at the beginning was to be able to pickle some cucumbers, have some spicy pickles, try a few different recipes. So I'm definitely okay that we're gonna be able to have a good harvest from these cucumbers. But I do wanna tend to my tomatoes as well, which are on the other side, and they're getting plenty of sun on that side, so they're gonna grow quite well. But all this is due to part of the fact that I'm using good fertilizer, and I'm using fertilizer once a month, or like in my case, I'm doing it every 3 weeks because it does break down a little bit faster with the humidity. We get asked the question, what fertilizer am I using? Because there's all types of fertilizers. You can use many different types of fertilizers in your garden. There's specific fertilizers. I mean, you can find tomato tone, you can find plant tone, you can find garden tone, you can find berry tone. There's all types of fertilizers. But if you can't find the one you necessarily need, and I understand that that's one of the issues that, especially when it comes to the product that we use at Spoma, a lot of people can't seem to find the specific product that they need. So I would just suggest going with Garden Tone. Garden Tone is one of those fertilizers that's gonna be able to cover the vast majority of what's in a kitchen garden, whether it's herbs, vegetables, some fruits. It's gonna be able to fertilize it. Some fertilizer is better than no fertilizer, and you're definitely gonna be able to see the results when you start fertilizing your plants with a organic fertilizer, especially. As you can see, like I said, this has just been fertilizer. That's all we're putting in here. We're not adding anything special. We're using slow release organic Espoma fertilizer, and this is the results that we're getting right here, especially with our other tomatoes as well. And since I'm out here fertilizing, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tend to the tomatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and prune off some of the lower branches just to give it some more room to breathe and to grow, and that way we can water a little bit better underneath. I'm gonna go ahead and fertilize my tomatoes here. I'm just gonna add a little bit around the drip line of where we actually water so they can get down into the roots as it starts to break down. Now, the one thing that's good about this fertilizer is that you cannot overfeed. This is not a synthetic fertilizer. It's not chemically based where it's gonna burn the roots or cause any damage to your plants. The plants are just gonna take whatever they need, and that's pretty much it. Now you can definitely scratch in the fertilizer. That's what's recommended. I typically do a light scratching, just go around and kind of scratch it in. There's times when I've actually put this in here and not even scratched it in, just watered and let the humidity and the water do its job. The fertilizer is gonna get to the plant no matter what. And it's gonna perform. As you can see, these tomatoes are doing quite well. Again, the cucumbers are doing amazing. But we have a lot of growth on the tomatoes here. What I'm going to do basically is I'm just gonna prune off some bottom branches. These are fairly newly planted. These have been here for quite a bit, so I'm just gonna prune the bottoms off, make some room so I can water around here nicely and not have any splashback on the foliage. Now, this may all seem quite drastic, but I assure you it's not. It's the best thing for your tomatoes. It's gonna open up the bottom, and with herbs and vegetables that produce lots and lots of foliage, this is gonna help that plant focus its energy more on blooms and fruit production rather than putting it all on foliage and having a bunch of green. As you can see, the green on these cucumbers is very beneficial for the cucumbers. It needs a lot of photosynthesis, a lot of light, so I'm not gonna prune really too much back on the cucumbers. But the tomatoes, because they do take a lot of that energy to push into the fruit, because it has many fruit and many flowers, we wanna go ahead and prune that back. And again, it opens it up for more air circulation when you have a bunch of plants in a tight little area, especially when you're working with a kitchen garden of this size. You want to have as much air circulation as possible, and you want to have room to definitely get in there and water your plants as well without having any splash on the foliage, which can again bring more fungus and other types of bacteria onto your plants. So the benefit that we've had as a military family is that we've lived in quite a few different gardening zones. This zone, however, is something we haven't experienced for about 20 years. So I wish I would have known a little bit more about when it was a great time to plant. And again, this is all a new learning experience. Even though we've lived here and we grew up here, times change. And so I wish I would have known when to plant some of these. So if you see, we have some flowers here. I have some sunflower, we have some marigolds here, we have some other things growing along with these cherry tomatoes back here. But again, had we had the experience, we would have known we could have started this stuff months ago. We were still stuck on Virginia time zone, North Carolina time zone. We know how things grow there. We know when to plant things there. We know when to seed things there. Unfortunately, we kind of waited to do those things here in this garden. And so it seems like we're kind of late when everybody else is already harvesting some fruit, have some flowers growing all over the place. But nonetheless, I'm okay with it. I have a great fertilizer that's gonna help these guys grow, and we're already starting to see some results, so we're happy with it. But next year, we'll know, hey, we can start some of this stuff a little bit earlier and have a lot more color, flower, vegetables, whatever the case is. We'll have an abundance of it, because now we know. And also, just a quick tip, when you're pruning tomatoes, it's best to do early in the morning. You don't want to do it too late when it's nice and hot. You don't want to introduce them to any type of fungus or bacteria, especially like right now, there's no sun. It's nothing really hot out. So early mornings are going to be your best time to prune tomatoes if you're doing that. I'm very excited for this garden here. I hope you guys are excited for it and following along and definitely enjoying it. This is something that we haven't done for a good part of 6 years since we moved from North Carolina. So it's definitely an exciting time, an exciting part of the garden, and I know we have plenty more to share that's coming along. But again, it's a slow process. You can't just build something overnight and have a garden overnight. It's a slow burn. It's a process that we really want to take in and not just create just to create, but we want to have something that we're going to enjoy. And that's something that the kitchen garden brought very early on. It's something that we are definitely going to enjoy. And the kitchen garden is something that can definitely be moved around and changed around, and that's something that we're going to enjoy doing for a better part of the time that we're here. But everything else that may be semi-permanent, such as roses, shrubs, perennials, things of that nature, we want to go ahead and take our time with it and plan it out the way we want it to be. Okay, so there's definitely something I want you guys to see, because I do want to show you what's going on in the kitchen garden as far as everything else that's going on. But I don't know what it is. Cucumbers is one of those vegetables that always excites me when they're starting to grow, and I want to show you guys this. You can see that fella right there. See if I can turn this quite a bit. Already producing a big cucumber, and this plant's not even almost fully grown out yet. So it's very exciting to see this now. I grew these once before in a hanging basket. I love the way they grew in a hanging basket because I was able to kind of let this grow the way it wanted to grow and kind of, I guess, push it to where I wanted it to grow. And it's in a spot here where it's going to get some sun, but it's also behind a fence, so when the sun starts to set, it gets a little bit of break of the sun. And that's one thing that I've noticed about these cucumbers especially. Now these are bigger cucumbers, or English cucumbers. The foliage burns, it tends to burn a little bit faster than the bush cucumbers. As you can see, the ones that I had over there weren't burned as much, and they get a lot of sun. These guys right here, I've grown them in the past, and I've done it in a hanging basket. They tend to burn a bit faster in full sun. So I put it in a spot where it's gonna get less sun, but I'm excited about this one. Look at that. It's already starting to catch onto the wire that I posted here. It's starting to vine and do its thing. So that's exciting. All right, starting to get quite a bit cloudy, but again, I promise you pretty much a full tour of the kitchen garden here and what's actually going on. There's actually a lot going on, and it's exciting. As you can see, all the beds back there, everything's going quite nice. Not everything's set in this place. I still got to plant this guy right here, which is the apple tree. And I talked about the apple tree not long ago, how it wasn't adjusting to the weather here because it's used to being in cold weather and used to having that dormant time up until about end of April, beginning of May, but it never got that cold period. And now that it's starting to wake up, look at that. starting to produce some blooms there. It did some over here quite early on, but obviously we're not going to get any fruit. It's too late for it to start producing flowers to actually go set fruit because of the temperatures already. This guy should have woken up earlier in April around here in the southern part of Texas. So it's any blooms that it produces now, unfortunately, it's not going to produce any fruit. So quite a bit of a bummer for that, but I'm excited because it's alive. Look at that. It's definitely alive. And hopefully it gets acclimated to this weather. And next year we'll have some fruit. So I'm excited to do that. I'm going to plant this guy up pretty soon in the video just to get him planted and right here up against the wall. And that's just another exciting part of the kitchen garden here. See, what else can I show you guys? All right, so we have a little bit of an herb garden going on here. And when I say a little bit of an herb garden, these are definitely herbs that we're using for cooking. So I've got some mint here that we use. The girls love to make some tea with some mint. Got some citronella here to keep away some of those mosquitoes because there are quite a bit of mosquitoes here. Some sage, it always comes in handy. Not citronella, chamomile for tea, always great. Basil is always a plus to grow in the garden. Some more citronella because I had an extra one. We have some oregano. Oregano goes great in our rice and other recipes. And some thyme, of course. Thyme is always great to have in the garden. Love using that quite a bit. We have our lemon tree there. Some wood that I'm using for another project. Our tangelo tree. And then I have a pomegranate here that hasn't set fruit yet. It's probably not going to set fruit till next year. This guy was about yay high when I got it, and it's grown that much. So excited to see that one. Don Juan is in here in the kitchen garden. Probably going to go there. Probably not. Let me spin around over here so you can see it from a distance. That's the cucumber that's growing there. This is our tomato that is growing in the Vigo rolling tomato planter, self-watering. So this one actually does great. It comes in handy, producing quite nicely because we don't have to do much to it. We just fill it with water and let it do its thing. Here's the cucumbers. And, oh, here's one of my favorite right here. Here's the chile piquin plant. Look at this. Compared to last year, this guy was transplanted with biotone, okay? Biotone transplanted. This guy shouldn't be producing this much this early on, but it started producing quite a bit. The chiles are a little bit bigger than they normally would be. And I'm just excited all around because it's bushed up quite nice. It's gonna be great for salsas. It's gonna be great to enjoy this. And then here's some other things I just threw in from seed kind of late. So this is starting to come up. These are some chives. Chives are good to use in baked potatoes. That's what we love to use them on. I have a elephant dill here that's just starting to come up from seed, so excited to see that one grow. That one's gonna get quite big and bushy. We have some cantaloupe growing there that we just did from seed not too long ago and growing quite nice. We have a fig here. This is a LSU purple fig that's growing quite nice. Now this is the Brava crop, so we'll get another crop here in September. Great thing about here in San Antonio is figs do amazing here. And coming back along, we have some more melons along the wall. We have our other tomatoes there. I grew this right here. This is some Gumfrina that was grown from seed. I have some white and atomic purple Gumfrina growing from seed. These came up quick. I think this is only the third week and they're already growing quite nicely. Then we have the rest of our peppers over there. Let me take you over here real quick and show you what's going on. We have sunflower over here. This is called short stuff. It shouldn't get too much bigger. It's putting on more growth, so it should be quite nice. We have some jalapenos back there that are starting to grow as well. And then we have, look at this, beans up along this trellis right here. So, sorry if I'm too close, but I want to show you these beans. These are rattlesnake beans. I love the color on that. I'm trying to get it to focus because it keeps focusing on my hand. But yeah, rattlesnake beans. Look at that right there, the color. It's just beautiful. Got more flowers going, but it's crawling up here. It's gonna do quite nice. And then we went ahead and put Strawberry Hill in the kitchen garden. Strawberry Hill loved it in here. I think it's a great addition to the entrance right here. Still in the pot. Maybe put it in the ground, we're not sure yet, but it's still in the pot. And we just love the way it looks here. We have more stuff over here in this bed. This is the jalapenos that are growing. These are a different type of jalapeno than I have on the other side. These are slicey, a little bit more spicy sliced jalapeno, a little bit hotter than the other ones. Then there's some habaneros there and some late zucchini coming up that we're gonna have grow up along here. All right, and then because we are in a holler zone and we're doing it a little bit earlier in some grow bags, we have some corn that's growing right there, specifically for fall decor. We may try to enjoy some. We did a couple of different ears of corn. Now, corn can be planted anywhere from 3 to 9 inches apart, so we're hoping to have all those stalks come up and harvest some for some decor and to try some out. And then we have some strawberry popcorn that we're gonna actually use for popping corn. So hopefully that works out just as great. So we're excited for those things coming up here in the kitchen garden. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tour of the kitchen garden. I know it's not much. It's coming along though, and we're definitely excited about the kitchen garden. It's a bit cloudy, so I wish it was just a bit brighter, not too bright, because then, you know, the video wouldn't be that great. But you get to see what's actually happening here. You get to see what's actually growing, and you know, the fertilizing process of what's working and what's not working. But for the most part, I mean, everything looks great in here. We're excited to have the kitchen garden growing. You know, that's just something that I like about the kitchen garden. It's very exciting. There's plenty of things that we can still grow, plenty of things that we can switch around. The thought process into making this kitchen garden definitely wasn't, you know, a definite set of how we're gonna do things. It's just, you know, what transpired because of the little time that we had. So, you know, in the future, we can come up with a definite plan, a layout of how we want things and how we're gonna do things and what we're actually gonna grow and, you know, what's best to grow here. What's gonna do well in the heat, what's not gonna do well. But it's definitely exciting to see lots of green happening and things actually starting to grow. That's pretty much gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the kitchen garden. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.